Hi, I'm Sofia Coppola.
I'm Cailee Spaeny.
I'm Jacob Elordi.
And this is Notes on a Scene.
What do you mean you don't know if you like it?
I don't know, there's just something about it, a catchiness that it's missing.
Watch out!
This scene takes place in Elvis Presley's office with padded walls, and he's listening to some demo records that he's not pleased with. And it's from her book, her story. She described this moment.
I had lots of different conversations with her before I started filming, how she was towing that line of being supportive, but also speaking her mind. And I think this scene here is her sort of, taking those first steps of having an opinion and voicing it.
Nobody called me up to say, back in town.
So we had to have demos that were not good songs, so that was fun to pick the songs that he would be repelled by. And I know Jacob worked a lot to get Elvis's voice right, and when we watched the film with Priscilla the first time, what struck her the most was how much his voice sounded like Elvis, so that was a big thrill, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great relief.
These songs are all garbage. Each one's worse than the next.
I'm pretty lucky to be in his register anyway. But I think for me it was trying to invent what he would sound like behind closed doors, because everyone has, a performing voice and a speaking voice.
Our whole story was really behind closed doors, what they were like in private. And so everything we could look at is them. There were home movies without sound that kind of showed us how they interacted, and you could get a kind of feeling, the essence of them and how they were together. Mm-hmm. That helped a lot.
Each one's worse than the next.
Well, these aren't finished yet.
Play another one.
We had an incredible prop department, and you can see here, they recreated pictures of Elvis with his mom. And we had an actress play his mom who's not in the movie. And they made gold records with your face. Was that fun to see your face on the gold records? And Elvis really liked all these animal figurines, so his office is filled with those. And you'll see throughout the movie these animal figurines.
Look at that. It's got potential.
I love working with Philippe Lasorda, our cinematographer. Just the lighting. We built all these sets, so they're not real locations, but he made them feel like real places. And also because the art department did such a great job. And the rooms are filled with smoke, which I forgot about. Philippe always had a lot of smoke to diffuse the light and give a soft look, but it definitely had an atmosphere. We always wanted him to look cool because he's Elvis, so he had to always look cool. And I think Jacob did a great job with just kind of inhabiting the way he moved with a sort of panther kind of, well, I don't know what, but he definitely moved differently when he was, when he showed up as Elvis and had a presence about him.
The set and the space that Sofia and the team provided for us, like the things that you kind of pick up on, so much of it by this point was happening naturally, because when you came to the office, it immediately had a darker tone, because it's like, this is, every scene in the office was he'd be sitting and brooding. Right. Every bedroom scene, the fun was informed because like every scene we did in there was kind of like that. And then when we shot in Graceland, we were always coming through the front door, so there was always an explosion. So I think a lot of it is honestly subconscious, because the space that was provided for us,
the atmosphere
informed a lot of
That's cool.
What was happening, for those kind of minute things, I think.
Turn it on. When are they gonna send me a goddamn decent song? Scylla, what do you think?
I don't know if I like it.
So this is a moment that she talks about in the book where she's a young girl and she's trying to, assert an opinion, and he's, surrounded by his buddies that all always say yes.
Which I think the actors who played the Memphis Mafia brought so much of the atmosphere to the movie, because it was such an important element for her to feel like it was always a sort of guys club. These actors were brilliant at sort of making that come alive, what it must have felt like in that time for her.
Yeah, they were great. They were always coming up with funny jokes and real like kind of corny guy jokes. And so it really is like her coming into the guy's world in this scene, especially because you're in his office and trying to participate, but always surrounded by all the guys.
Yeah.
We had walls with pictures of Priscilla from all her eras, from her as a kid to the end of the story in her late 20s. Pictures from graduation, all the pictures throughout her life where her hair and makeup would kind of tell us where we were in the story. And you spent a lot of time.
Sometimes I felt like we were in the makeup chair more than we were doing this scene. But it was such an important part of Priscilla's journey, and how really a marker where she was emotionally and where she was with him and how she was presenting herself.
Priscilla told us that Elvis would never come downstairs not fully dressed in a look. Like, he loved to dress up, and it was important to him. And also it was kind of also a sign of respect that you dressed, and it was that time. So that's how they really lived, and we wanted to show how they really lived, even in their private life.
What do you mean you don't know if you'll like it?
I don't know, there's just something about it, a catchiness that it's missing.
Watch out!
I remember we had to shoot that scene and he really has to throw a chair. Priscilla said he didn't ever throw a chair at me. It was at the wall next to me. It was pretty clear he never tried to hurt her, but he lost his temper and threw it at a wall near her in her direction. And so when we were shooting it, the stunt people didn't want Jacob to really throw a chair, but then it was important for us that Jacob really throw the chair because so much of the performance, I would imagine, is affected by it.
Yeah. Originally they had wanted to get to the point and then have a stuntman step in and throw the chair, but there's like a velocity sort of to the scene, the way it moves from the start, that to kind of cut it would have, I think, taken away that impact.
And also to see his switch, because a lot of the movie you're in his more gentle, vulnerable side, and so we want to feel like you're always in Priscilla's point of view and to be shocking when someone's mood shifts like that. We only had like 4 chairs, the pressure was on.
Yeah.
We only had a few takes.
I think just feeling the shift in the scene and the sort of the highs and lows of how she navigates him. And I think this is, her sort of starting to handle things a little bit differently.
I'm sorry, baby. Are you okay? I'm sorry, baby. I got my mama's temper.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Are you okay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And at the end of the scene, we stay on her face, so you're just with her. It's always kind of going back to her and what her emotions are, and that was something in the editing of like, how long do we stay with her, and finding that balance. But we always wanted to be looking through her point of view.
This was a very sensitive time, his career, and I think she had to know how to navigate him, and so I think she wanted to be supportive but also be honest. Priscilla would always say you try to lift him up in these moments because it was so emotional for Elvis. So she's trying to cool down the situation. She doesn't want to escalate it anymore, but also I think it's important at the end to see that she's really internalizing this moment, and it's not nothing.
I feel like you show so much on your face at the end of the scene where he's apologetic and you're kind of digesting
what do you do with that apology after that's happened?
Yeah, what she's in, and I feel like you're so good at showing both things, and a lot of things that don't go together at the same time. So I feel like you show that kind of torn emotion, and also I think as the actress, he's going to have an outburst, but the character doesn't, so you have to. I'm sure it's a challenge to be able to be in the moment.
The real chair throw helped though for the reaction.
I guess, that's good to know.
Watch out!
Thanks for watching our notes on a scene.